Well, we're going to be talking about zombie companies today, so I thought this background was a little more appropriate, and we're getting close to Halloween. But this is going to be a scary broadcast, and I want you to pay attention. Now, we've been talking about the fact of our timing models for a long time. I'm going to talk about our economic model. I don't talk about that very much. We're going to talk about that today. It's a simple four-quadrant economic model. They're very effective. They're easy to do. So let me get right into this. So let's go to my very first slide. Let's just talk about what we're looking at here. So we're really talking about my timing models. Now, as you know, I've talked to Dr. Nenner for 20 years or so. I've been interviewing him and working with him on his videos. He always talks about the what, because when you're working with a timing model, the timing model is going to tell you that something is going to happen. So we can see what is going to happen, but we don't know why. So the timing models tells us start looking for signposts and guideposts along the way. That's going to be confirming where you are in the timing model, and it gives you something to start looking for, so it'll keep you out of trouble. So this simple timing model that I've been using for many years has just made me an absolute fortune. I've made a lot of money using this. It tells us when it's a good time to buy, tells us when we have a correction, tells us when we have a major problem. And right now it is telling us that we have a major problem coming at us right now. So it's very imminent. And as I've been telling you, these timing models are mathematical. So we don't show you all the little squiggles and moves, and I make it very stylized. When you're looking at the model itself, though, there's always two peaks. And that first peak came in March of 2022. It coincided with the liquidity problem with the Federal Reserve when they started taking $100 billion of liquidity a month. The most amazing thing is my timing model was telling us what was going to happen. It didn't tell us why. The economy told us why, and that why was liquidity coming out. Now, there's always two peaks. So the second peak has come in as well. It turned out it was in June of 2023. We've been looking for it. I thought it was going to be in the second quarter, maybe slide into the third quarter 2023. It came in right on schedule, June 2023. We've had four confirmation points, so we feel pretty good. The second peak is in. Second peak's done. That's it. There's only two peaks, and the second peak is in. I think it's down from here. So let me go to my timing or to my economic model, and let's just talk about the why. So the timing model tells us what to look for. The economic model tells us why. So everybody wants to know what the why is. So let's just take a look at the why. This is a very simple timing model. So phase 4 is in the recession. That's what we would have encountered when we were in 2008, 2009, 2010. It was a vicious, long, drawn-out recession in the housing industry. That was phase 4. That went from about 2008 through 2012, a good 4 years. And then you go into phase 1, and the phase 1 is the recovery. You're starting to get to a point where you're starting to get things get better. A lot of the problems have been solved. Then you go into expansion number 2, where things are really good. That's a very fun quadrant to be in. That's when things are doing well. We've gotten rid of all the problems. All the dead wood in the forest is gone, been cleaned up, and we're starting to expand. That's where we're starting to see more construction. We're starting to see building of properties. Businesses getting more confident. People feel good about themselves. And phase 2 is just absolutely a wonderful place to be. Then we go into phase 3, and I probably mentioned this before. Phase 3 is where we get oversupply. Builders build. So if they build 1 and make money on it, they want to buy 10. If they do well on 10, they want to buy 100. 100 wants to buy 1,000. Pretty soon they've got more properties than we know what to do with. Now, I've mentioned before that I was looking for the oversupply, that our timing model was telling something was going to happen. And our economic model told it should be hyper supply. I couldn't find it. So in the last 3 or 4 months, I have been looking for it. And now we know where it is. Now we can see it. So let me go to the full screen. So I'm going to tell you that we now have under construction right now a record amount of construction out of new homes under construction in the United States. Never before ever had this many. It's almost 1.7 million homes. Now, most of these have not been sold. These are spec homes. I have talked about this before because, the builders are scared to death. Builders need land to build. Well, land just costs you a fortune. You got to acquire it and pay for it. And of course, then you've got to take it to the city and plant it. Then you got to plat it. Then you got to put the streets and curbs and sewers in and put the water in. You got to bring all the utilities in and the cable. And it costs just an enormous amount of money, all borrowed money, by the way, and it's all on short-term money. So as rates go up, cost of this goes up right along with it. And the builders need land. So they're always out looking for land. It's called their land bank. But it's really expensive, and it is an alligator. It just chases them around. So they are really concerned about this. And now when they start to see the housing market start to falter, they all want to get rid of their land. Well, they can't call up another builder and say, would you like my land bank? Because they're trying to get rid of theirs too. So the only way out for builders is to build out that land bank, sell it out as quickly as you can, sell those properties and get away from your land bank, because the land bank is what takes builders down. That's what causes them to go bankrupt. Whether you're selling or you're not selling, that debt service has to be paid. And that's why we've got 1.7 million. They're building their land bank out. Now, they're building these as specs because they don't have actual buyers for the property. They're just trying to get out of their land bank. You can certainly see that. So that's number one. Number two, the VRBOs, the Airbnbs, all the vacation rentals. That was such wonderful business a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when the stimmy checks were out. We had the PPP. We had lots of people getting money. They weren't working, but they had money. They were traveling. They felt flush, and they were spending like crazy. All the luxury goods were being sold, and people were traveling. All these vacation rentals were doing really, really well. Well, that's faltering now. Here in Scottsdale, Arizona, where we're at, we've got a lot of these places just don't have enough occupancy, and revenues are down. And I mean, they are way down. They're down 50% here in Phoenix. I'm hearing around the country it's even worse in a lot of other places. And this, of course, means that we have a glut of vacation rentals. Whenever there's a glut, a lot of people are going to lose this. And a lot of them have bought, again, you have this frenzy. I'm going to get rich really quick. If one vacation rental is good, I should have 10. And of course, now instead of having one problem property, now they have 10 problem properties, and they're all going to go. So we're just starting to see here in the Phoenix market, in Scottsdale, and of course, the Chandler market and the Gilbert market. This is one of the greatest markets in the world, actually. We're starting to see these VRBOs that are really no longer viable come to market. So there's another supply of properties, of inventory that's coming. And over the weekend, we got some more information about the iBuyers. And of course, iBuyers paid cash for a lot of properties. They were very aggressive in the marketplace, and they paid cash. They beat up all these first-time home buyers, people looking for to build homes, and they used cash as a big weapon. They paid more than most everybody, and they owned these properties when we had that frenzy going on. FOMO, got to buy the property. Well, the iBuyers are beating everybody up. Consequently, they paid more than what they should have paid for the properties. And now, they didn't pay cash. Now, those bonds will be coming due soon. And so those bonds, those triple Bs that they got, that 2 or 3 and 4%, they're going to go up to 8 or 9 or 10%. And of course, the cap rate hasn't really changed too terribly much. Matter of fact, it's probably softened a little bit. And the competitive that you can go just to put your money into investments is you can get 5.25% pretty almost risk-free with the 2-year treasury. So that's going away too. So let me go to my next slide. Let's just talk about these three and what the implications are for those. Because I'm going to tell you that we have zombie companies as well. And I talked to Michael Pinto. He was talking about the zombie companies that we have. And that's the other part of this equation that's not on that one slide, is that zombie companies, and a zombie company is an operating firm. It's just not making enough money to pay all its bills, and it absolutely positively requires to keep rolling over its financing to survive. They need access to the credit markets. And if the credit markets close to them or get to be exorbitant, why, they're in deep, deep trouble. And we've got tons of these companies are zombie companies. They're triple Bs, and they're not earning enough money. And of course, they're not earning enough money in a market that's been really, really good. And here's the crux to this. This is just really awful. Let me go to this next slide. These zombie companies have 10 million employees. I got the slide from Zero Hedge just the other day, and they're saying that 1/3 of the Russell 2000 stocks are non-earners, are zombie companies. 1/3 of the Russell 2000 are zombies. They've got tons and tons of employees. Now, some of these are going to do just fine, but some of them are not. So as the economy softens and interest rates go up, these guys are a double whammy. These guys are just in trouble. So that's where the unemployment is going to come. The unemployment is going to come from companies that are going to start laying people off because they need the cash. You know, one of the big costs of doing business is your employees. So we've got some major problems coming here, and the economic model is confirming what our timing model has been saying. Now, let's get drilled down here a little bit. This was in the news last week as well. So we have this company that is talking about going bankrupt. And these guys have projects in Dallas and Denver and Seattle. They got 28 developments in all kinds of different stages of development. And they think it's worth $2 billion, but it isn't worth anything because I'm sure it's encumbered. And who wants to take over a broken project, just like what we're talking about with the builders? This is a huge liability to whoever takes this, so they have to buy this at an enormous discount, or it's not going to be any good to them. And this is just the tip of the iceberg that's happening on these. So let's go to my next slide here, and let's just take a look at that, because this is what's happening. Now, this is mirroring what happened in 2007. And I'm going to tell you here, I want you to pay attention to this statistic. Because I was here in 2006. I went through the great financial crisis here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've always said you couldn't have found a worse place to be selling real estate than in Phoenix, Arizona during the great financial crisis. Fortunately, I had my rental portfolio, and it just kept us just fine. You know, it produced income for us month after month. But I'm going to tell you, here's what happened. In March 2006, there were 2,956 single-family homes available in all of Phoenix. 2,956, less than 3,000 in June of 2006, or in March of 2006. 12 months later, in March of 2007, there were 33,000 properties available for sale. So we went from 3,000 listings to 33,000 listings in 12 months. And in 21 months, there were 54,000 properties available for sale. So that's how quick these markets turn. And I'm telling you that the timing model is telling us that we're running into a problem. The economic model is confirming it. So let me go to my next slide here, and let's see what this says. So here again, I got this from Zero Hedge. Here's the housing units. This is the chart. This is the statistic. Now, in Phoenix, Arizona, in 2006 and 7, the builders built 65,000 homes. And it was them trying to get out of their land bank. 65,000 homes. Now they were selling about 20, 25, 30,000. And they doubled the production to try and get rid of their land bank. And that was national. So everybody across the country wanted to do the same thing. So in a great financial crisis, there are 1,423,000 buildings available. Already in 2023, and we're slowing down now, it's 1,688,000, almost 1.7 million single-family homes under construction right now. Right now, 1.7 is a ghost inventory. When you go to realtor.com, they don't pick this up. And so when you go to and you go to Federal Reserve Electronic Data, Fred, they use the realtor.com's data. So this is kind of a ghost inventory, and I'm going to tell you, it is real and it is coming, and this is just going to cause enormous problems. Let me go to my next slide here. I'm going to tell you too, the vacation rentals, they are off 50%. They become non-viable. And a lot of people paid a really, really lot of money for these properties, thinking I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get $500 a night for this property. 30 nights, it's $15,000 a month, and I can afford to pay $6,000, $7,000 for this thing. Well, they can't get that revenue. They can't cover the cost of the properties themselves. And what's happening is they're forced to sell them. And of course, it's draining their capital. It's a stress on their individuality. And of course, it's going to be distressed properties. Let me go to the next slide. Let's talk about that. And corporate, here's the other one that's kind of like a ghost inventory. Corporate paid cash when they were in the marketplace. But it wasn't really cash. They were on borrowed money. They just got their cash other than mortgages. They got their money from the bond market. Now they have to pay it back to the bond market. And the cap rate here in Phoenix, Arizona has been 4.5%. That's been like that for almost a decade. I think it's going to go much higher now because interest rates are going to force it up higher. But you can get a almost risk-free return just in a treasury money market at over 5%. Now you can take risk at 4.5%, or you can take a risk-free at 5.25%. You see the disconnect here? So a lot of people aren't buying into this. And a lot of these bonds were triple B. So when they roll over, they're not going to be at 4%. They might be at 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 because triple B is one step above junk. And we've got federal funds rates at 5.25, but prime is 8.5. So if you're paying 2 points over prime, you're at 10.5. And if you're way over prime, like some of these might be, you're paying 11 or 12%. That becomes a non-viable. That's not a good investment. You can't make money doing that. I can't make money doing that. The only way you can make money doing that is the price of these properties have to be significantly lower than what they are now, which is what our timing model is telling us. And the economic model is confirming that the properties are heading south. Now, do they have to? No. These models work until they don't work. But my models have been very, very, very consistent in that. Charles Nenner is, I've known Charles for a number of years. He consistently says that we're running into trouble. I just talked to John Rubino. By the way, we take a lot of time putting this research together. If you like our videos, please support us by subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. It really, really helps our YouTube. The logarithms with YouTube just love this stuff. So I suggest that you look at Rubino, and we talked to Charles Hugh Smith, Michael Pinto, and Charles Nenner. What a great lineup of analysts, and they're all telling us we've got problems coming. So don't just listen to me, listen to these guys. Let me go to my next slide here, and let's just talk about what we have, because I don't want to make this a long presentation. So let's just start thinking of what we have here. So we have 1.7 million new homes under construction in a declining marketplace. So, as these rates come up, fewer and fewer buyers are coming in, and yet we have a record amount of single family homes under construction. They're not sold, they're just being built. So we have a record amount of specs being done. The iBuyers cap rates are lower than the risk-free at federal money markets. They're subject to lots and lots of refinance problems. And again, they have to be at the upper end of the marketplace to become viable. And if you run into a recession, typically we have a migration from A properties to B properties to C. And that really is just price points. And the furnished rental market is saturated, just saturated. There's furnished rentals virtually everywhere. And that marketplace and that vacation and the travel industry is collapsing. People are running out of discretionary money They can't move any further. So it's, for me, it means one thing. Our timing model is telling us that we had a waterfall event coming, and it's going to give us an absolutely outstanding time to buy properties. I'll let you know when that happens. Please be patient with me. You know, if you have comments, let me know what your thoughts are. But to me, I've been in business a long time. I think we have a retracement to prices. And I think either the rates have to come down significantly or prices have to come down significantly. So my very, very best to you guys. If I can help in any way, I'm going to put my numbers on here. Give me a call. Schedule a time when we can get together. We'd like to start taking we'd like to take commitments as to, if you're interested in this, we'd like to get 50 or $100 million put together. I don't need your cash right now. Probably won't need your cash because you keep the cash. You send it to the title company when you buy the properties. But I'd like to know if you're interested or not. I think we're going to be buying these properties at huge discounts, maybe 30 to 60% discounts, which just make us great buys. So please let me know. Give me your comments. My very, very best to you guys.